We'll see how that works. Oh, there it is. Maybe I'm working. I'm going to ignore that for now, and we'll see if it goes. Angela is in North Dakota. Whoa. How is it up there? You don't have any snow yet, I don't think. So today we're going to talk about connecting with source. And this is a central, I think, part of being a healthy human. And it's spiritual practice is something that's talked about a lot. And for me, the main benefit of spiritual practice is to kind of plug into the big power grid. Hey, Victoria, thank you. I've actually missed being on Insight Timer, and I'm really happy to be back. And so connecting with source can be done in lots of different ways. Awesome. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'll take some questions from you guys in the practices that I use and for myself to connect and help my students and my clients and my mentees connect. And then we're going to do some of that practice to actually connect ourselves. Because doing spiritual connection work is like plugging in a lamp into the power grid of your wall. We can have a lamp and it looks very pretty, but it doesn't work unless we plug it in. And we are all part of a larger consciousness system. We're all little aspects of divinity. From my perspective, we're actually all like cells in a great body, all part of something greater than ourselves. And a lot of times we feel disconnected from that, just the configuration of being a human with a body and just the way the physical world is in the Middle Earth with impermanence and birth and death. And there's a lot of confusion, and we often don't feel or experience the connection that we have. Although we are always connected, and certainly in mindfulness practices and in the teachings of Buddhism and a lot of the Eastern traditions, they really talk about, connecting with our breath, connecting with our body, that we're breathing in and breathing out every moment, which is one of the ways very physically that we are always connecting with an energetic source. So that's maybe more on a physical or energetic level. And when we connect spiritually in a really conscious way, then our conscious mind, our personality, our ego, our spirit, our soul self gets the experience of that plugging in, of being able to relax, of being taken care of actually being able to, what they call in shamanism, source power. Because we all have, it's like we're like little battery packs, and we all need to be plugged in to recharge our batteries. And a lot of times we think about self-care and taking care of ourselves with food or with exercise or with rest, and that takes care of our body. But there's a whole energetic and spiritual and emotional system that needs to be cared for, cleansed and replenished and nourished as well. And spiritual connection is one of the most direct ways to do that. And so I think a lot of times people can talk about spirituality and religion. And religion is absolutely a way to make spiritual connection. But sometimes for a lot of people, religion becomes a thing that they're supposed to do rather than something that actually connects them. And they may go through the motions of ritual or ceremony and not actually get the benefit of the connection. And a lot of times there are intercessors or people that are in between us and that connection, like a priest or a rabbi or even a shaman or a spiritual teacher. And it can be really helpful. I have had lots of actually people in all of those traditions that have been really helpful for me. But ultimately, we're all able to plug in to the larger consciousness system directly. And that's really, really beneficial. And the easiest way, or the most direct way from my experience to do that, is through the spirits of nature. through our experience of nature that we are natural beings, and that's the easiest way to plug in. And the idea that like we're little cells in a larger body. Certainly we are part of the natural world, whether we experience that when we're in our houses and on our computers or not. We actually are part of the natural world. We're consuming water and food and then excreting that back out into the system. We're breathing again in and out. We're always participating on this physical level, and we're always participating energetically and spiritually as well. And so I have found accessing higher consciousness, however we want to experience it through nature, probably the easiest, most accessible doorway that there is. And if you've done work with me in the past, you've probably heard me say that before. And you may have even done some of this work already, but it can never be revisited too much. I actually did some journey work before this process to kind of replenish myself before I jumped on Insight Timer. So does anybody have any questions about any of that or any comments? Okay, if you do, drop them in. So we're going to actually do a practice today. It's a blend of shamanism and what's called animism. And animism falls under Taoism and a lot of nature-based traditions, which is the idea that everything has life force in it. Everything is animated. That's why it's called animism. Everything has some living force in it. And deep physics speaks to that when we talk about atoms, and things are always moving and spinning, and they aren't actually, as we look deeper at on a more micro level, what they seem. And so the idea that everything can be, or anything can be a portal to higher consciousness that's in our system is part of animism. And the idea that there's not just life force, but actually consciousness in different levels in all things. And so we're going to travel to a place in nature. This is a very light guided meditation. You're going to have complete control over the process. I'm going to make a couple suggestions to bring you to an aspect of the spirit of nature. And then the intention is to connect with an aspect of divinity, of your own higher self, of source, whatever you name that, or however you name that, that has only your highest good in mind. And that may come in any form. It may come in the form of an element. It may come in the form of a light or a sound, or an animal or a creature, or it may come in the form of an angelic or a mythic or an ancestral being, or a religious figure. It's very, very open, all of the different faces of divinity, and the one that may be the most helpful or the easiest for us to connect with right now. So Mari says, all nature, trees, and animals live being in the presence. Yes, exactly. And so that's part of the reason. Welcome, Yvonne and Mari. It's, yes, in the presence of love. Excellent. Right. And so that resonance, which I also call unified consciousness, which is a very high resonance of consciousness, that nature does not have a personal agenda, except for survival and evolution, and actually understands the unified or interbeing of all things. That's what ecosystems do. Everything works together in this incredibly complex way. And we're actually part of multiple layers of ecosystems. And so being able to connect with that wisdom, with that love force, with that life force, words are very powerful. So finding words that work for you is really, really helpful. So if any of the words that I say don't resonate, please find your own words. That's part of our own spiritual development, is to find wording that works for us. I often don't use the word God because for many people that's become a corrupted word. For other people, that's a really, really helpful word. So I kind of try to throw out a bunch of words and find the ones that resonate the most for you, because the word is just an idea. The word is not the thing. When we talk about the moon, the word moon is not the moon. So the words just point to that experience or that energy. And so, again, finding words that conceptually resonate, that feel true, that feel helpful, super, super important. And those words for me have changed over time. And I continue to kind of expand my own library or vocabulary around spirituality within myself of what feels the most resonant or the most accurate for me at any given time. So I tend to pray goddess myself. So for Angela, organized religion has painful memories. Right. So source is an awesome word. Right. So excellent. So again, any questions or comments before we kind of jump in and connect? Because I think I like to say this is like talking about taking a shower. And we could talk about taking a shower and the lather and the warm water, but actually we only get clean by experiencing the shower. Same thing with like reading the menu outside a restaurant. We actually only get nourished by eating the food. So it's better to actually do the work. It's important to have our intellectual mind understand what we're going to do so that it gives us permission to participate. But the intellectual understanding is not the experience. And it's actually the experience that is what changes us. Again, it's like we can talk about a lamp, but it's only when we plug it in, and we don't even have to understand electricity, that the lamp lights up. And there's a little bit of a kind of magical quality to that, or experiential quality. And that's what we're going to experience today, is our own experience of source as it wants to make itself known to us today. So the thing to know is that it's really, really important. This is a mystical practice. Mystical practice is when we make direct connection. And so it's really important to trust yourself, to trust your own experience. And so as we travel into different realms of consciousness, in what I call the transpersonal realms, the non-physical realms that often kind of mimic the physical realm or underlie the physical realm, it's really important that you come to a place that feels safe. And so if for whatever reason you land in a place, because we're actually going to travel down, which is kind of a shamanic perspective. And down in the shamanic perspective is about connecting with nature. It's not about going down into the depths of hell. There is no hell in the shamanic realm. As a matter of fact, the middle world where we live now, that's the contested space. So we're going to leave ordinary reality, which is this contested space where we can't trust everything that happens. There's fear and anger and selfishness and misconceptions, all kinds of ignorance and things drive people here. And when we move into these more unified fields that are sourcing love and wisdom and connection and unity, then there is no selfish motives. There's no fear. There's no selfish motives. There's no judgment. There's no anger. We might come there with it, but the spaces themselves and that which we connect with have evolved beyond that. And so we're looking for a place that's safe and to connect with aspects of consciousness, of higher consciousness, that feel safe. If anything does not feel safe, then I'm going to say you've not completely left ordinary reality and you want to go down further. So if that happens and for any reason you feel unsafe, and trusting your own feelings is imperative. This is all about experience, and you can absolutely and should trust your experience. So I'm here to guide you, and I set very high intentions, and generally the container is really clean, but we do the best we can. And so there's no harm in that. In fact, it can be a learning experience to realize, oh, I don't feel safe here. And so what you want to do is look for a place or a way to go down even further, which will bring you to, again, a clearer resonance of the unified field of the larger consciousness system that has only your highest good in mind. Okay? So, does that make sense? And I am here to help you. You can drop questions in the comments and I can guide you as we go. Okay, great. Anything else before we begin? Okay, if you've just joined, you've come just in time. We're going to do a process to connect with Source, with our own higher self, with the divine in whatever way it wants to make itself known to us. The wording is quite optional, and you can substitute any wording that is more meaningful or appropriate for you. We're going to do a little bit of body relaxation. I'm going to make some very simple suggestions to drop into a very clear, safe, and sacred place in nature. And we're going there with the intention of connecting with an aspect, again, of our own higher self, of Source, of God, Goddess, of the divine that has only our highest good in mind. It may come in whatever form is most helpful for us right now. And you have complete control over this process. If you want to stop at any time, you just open your eyes. You're welcome to actually do this process with your eyes open. I know some of the people here like to do that with their eyes open. You're welcome to do that if it makes you feel more grounded. And I will say, if you have the opportunity to sit outside and do this practice, it's actually easier and probably more powerful. So if you have a moment and you can like run out onto your deck or in the backyard, do that now and find a place to sit, because doing this work in nature just connects us just with that much more easily with what we're looking to connect with. Okay. So take a few moments and make yourself comfortable, whatever comfortable is for you. And if you feel comfortable closing your eyes, feel free to do that, but you're welcome to leave them open. If you do leave them open, just find something to softly focus on that won't distract you, so that we can open our inner senses and allow our conscious mind permission to take a well-deserved rest that we'll be able to observe and be curious and open to receive whatever images or sounds or senses or felt experience we have, but we'll make sense of it later. Right now, we're just going to open our more intuitive, non-rational, body-centered ways of knowing, experiencing, and gathering information. We could call that our more spiritual or energetic or intuitive aspects. And just allowing those all to open quite widely, our inner senses of sight and sound, taste, touch, smell, instinct, and intuition, just allowing those all to open quite widely, knowing it's safe to do that. And as we open these more, again, body-centered, intuitive ways of knowing and experiencing, maybe bringing awareness a little deeper into your body. You might notice any places of tightness or tension. Maybe draw a long, slow in-breath into any places of tightness or tension. Relax your shoulders, your neck, slacken your jaw. Maybe flex your hands and feet. Just coming a little more present. Each breath bringing you a little deeper into your inner world, knowing it's safe to do that. You might notice any places of emotional tension that you're holding in your body. Maybe drawing a long, slow in-breath into any places of emotional tension and releasing that on your exhale. Breathing into emotional tension and letting it go. And might notice any places of mental tension or mental chatter. Just kind of breathe into those places of mental tension or chatter. And just kind of let that dissolve on your exhale as well. The mind's always thinking. It's like clouds passing by. We'll just let them pass by. And just keep coming back into the present moment, into our body and our breath. So we begin to take a journey inward to a very safe and sacred place, perhaps a place in nature where we'll connect with an aspect of the divine, of source, of the larger consciousness system, or our own highest self that has only our evolution and healing and best interest in mind. That may make itself known to us in whatever form is most helpful. It doesn't have to make any sense. It might be a light, a color, a sound, an element, a creature, aspect of nature, or a wise being, angelic or mythic figure, or some other form. So we're just going to be really open and curious, because this is a conversation with the life force. And we're showing up with a question: reveal yourself to me. And the answer is whatever form shows up. And we'll think about it and make sense of it later. Just be kind of playful and curious. And so I wonder if you can sense or feel or imagine yourself as a leaf on a tree. And there's a gentle breeze blowing the leaf. And we're just opening to our own active imagination, which is like a bridge between our personal and the transpersonal realms. And the breeze picks up and gently lifts the leaf off the tree. And the leaf begins to float down, down, down toward a place that's very safe and beautiful, even powerful and sacred. It might be a place in nature, maybe a place you've been before, or it may be someplace new. And we'll just be open and curious as this leaf floats down, 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 knowing it's safe to do this. Leaving the contested space of ordinary reality and opening to connect with the transpersonal realms that have only our highest good in mind. The celestial or Buddhaic realms of unified higher consciousness that operate on love, enlightenment, connection, evolution, and unity. And the leaf floats down, down, and settles in a place, again, perhaps a place in nature, a place that's safe, sacred, a fully developed ecosystem or environment. If you land in some place that's foggy or vague or undefined, then we want to blow that leaf to go down even further. We're looking for a place that's fully developed. And what is the environment that you have landed in? You might notice the quality of the light, the quality of the air. If you can hear anything or smell anything in this place. And if this is a place that also exists in ordinary reality, then know that this is the spiritual aspect of this place. No one can come here without your permission. And anything that happens here is for your own healing, evolution, and highest good. And allowing yourself to embody in this place that you're no longer a leaf. And how does it feel in your body to be here? And you can do whatever you want in this place. You can rest, move around, explore, or interact with any of the elements here. Just whatever you'd like to do. There's no right or wrong here. It's all just experiencing, interacting, and information. And we're here with the intention to connect with an aspect of Source, with an aspect of God, Goddess, our own higher self, the divine, the larger consciousness system, universal mind, in whatever way it wants to present itself to us. It may be the spirit and the experience of this place, or it may be an element in it, or it may be a creature or a teacher or a wise being that is waiting for us or making themselves known to us right now. And so we'll just be open and curious. And it may be subtle. It may be as simple as, I like the water, and there's a lake. Or that tree is beautiful, and I want to sit near it. Or perhaps there's a creature nearby that you're aware of, that you become aware is aware of you. And exercising our own spiritual curiosity and openness is part of the practice. What do you feel drawn to or comfortable with in this place? And what seems to be drawn to you or comfortable with you? And if you want to drop your experience in the comments, feel free. But if that's interruptive to your process, then just stay focused within. And as you become more aware of this place, the elements, aspects of life force or creation within it, I wonder if you can open to the possibility that this place, the elements, the creatures, are also aware of you. And perhaps are even glad that you have come. And how is it to open to that possibility? That you are a child of nature, and this is an aspect of your true home. And what or who welcomes you here in a noticeable way. It might be the earth, a tree, the sun, a creature, or again, a teacher, a wise being, an aspect of your own highest self. And if you've made a connection with some aspect of this place, we might ask, how will you help me? This is a different way of knowing and gathering information. The answer may come in words or telepathy, behavior, or a felt sense. And again, it may be the spirit of this place or a particular aspect or being or form within it. How will you help me? Just opening to receive that answer in whatever way it comes, these different ways of knowing. And again, it doesn't need to make any sense. We'll think about it, make sense of it later. So we'll just tell the conscious mind, you're just going to notice. We don't need a narrative or a story right now. We're just being present, curious and observing. How will you help me? And next we ask, how will you protect me? Noticing the characteristics or attributes of this natural or supernatural form. How will you protect me or add to my own resources? We are never alone. Making conscious connection adds to our toolbox, to our resources. And just opening to that possibility. Next, asking, is there anything that you want to teach me or communicate to me right now? And again, this may come in words, a felt sense, behavior, or telepathy. Is there anything I need to learn or know right now that will be helpful on my path? And finally, we want to ask, what vow or promise do you make to me? What vow or promise do you make to me? And finally, how can I connect with you? Or how do we make this connection? because this is a source and a resource for connection, for wisdom, for guidance, for empowerment, should you choose to use it. And again, noticing how it feels in your body to make this connection. And notice if there's anything else to be done or communicated to be complete with this for right now. That this is a source and a resource that you can return to this place, this space, to this connection at any time. And take all the time you need, and when you're ready, I wonder if you can sense or feel or imagine that there's a path or a stairway that leads from this place back to ordinary reality. You might notice what that path or stairway is made of, and traveling it now, bringing all of this back with you. You might notice where the path or stairway exits or leads you out. And bringing this connection, remembering everything fully back into your body, your mind, your emotions, and your energy system. Back into your space and place in present time. And as you come back into ordinary reality, you might take a moment and call in the energy of that which you connected with into the room or space with you right now. Calling that spiritual connection, that energy into the room or space with you right now, and notice how you experience it in relation to you. Do you sense or feel or imagine it behind you, beside you, above you, in front of you, within you? And how is it to make that connection right now? How does it feel in your body to bring this energy of higher consciousness of source into present time? And I want you to notice how easily and naturally you were able to do that, and that this, again, is always available to you for grounding, for connection, for empowerment, for centering, and replenishing yourself. We are never alone. And having a felt experience of that is transformational. And so that concludes our guided meditation. And I'd like to open for any comments or questions. If anyone wants to share their experience or what they connected with. Nice, Angela. Felt a calming sensation in the movement of the water and the fish and the birds, and felt surrounded by it all. Nice. So just being a part of that system, of that flow, of that energy, and connected and calmed by that. That's beautiful, Angela. Excellent. Anybody else want to share any experience? The first time I did this process, I connected with the great tree. Oh, you can't see my tree. See my tree? And then in subsequent journeys with many different guides in lots of different forms, particularly aspects of nature, creatures often come. And in shamanism, those are often called spirit animals or power animals. And there's a whole practice around that. Any other questions or comments? Anybody want to share anything about the practice? And so, nice. Angela's been spending time out in the water on a paddleboard. Yes, connecting with elements in a really sensational and visceral, conscious way is a very powerful and present spiritual practice. I go sit at the river. Hey, Melina. Awesome. Yeah, these are powerful questions that can be asked frequently. So Mara says they feel the guide but can't see them. So not everybody is visual, and we all have different sensory systems. And so, Mari, if you sense or feel or imagine that guide in relation to you right now, and notice where you experience them, and what does that energy feel like? That's probably the most important thing, is, again, how it feels. And trusting things that feel trustworthy. Mm-hmm. Can you call that energy consciously right now, Mari? Or is it something that shows up when you're in need? It can be really helpful. We are always connected. It can be really helpful to be able to make the conscious connection in an intentional way ourselves. I find that very empowering. And that's a lot of what this practice and what I teach in spiritual psychology is about. Is, again, this conversation with the larger system. So numbers, a lot of people have that experience of the kind of numerology showing up as like winks from the universe. Nice. Any other comments or questions before we close? Thanks for the hearts. How do I close that? Okay. So thank you all for coming. If you found benefit in this practice, donations are gratefully received. I have another live I'm doing next Wednesday at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific on transforming trauma. It's a live that I've been doing here for a long time. It's a really powerful and potent practice to actually heal trauma in present time. I give a little talk and then we actually do a practice. That's the way I do most of my lives. And I'm just returning to Insight Timer after a couple months away, recovering from a full knee replacement. And so I look forward to seeing you more. And if you are interested in a deeper dive in healing trauma, I have a 10-part course on Insight Timer healing trauma. You can find it in my teacher profile. And I think there's over 2,100 people have done that course so far. And I spent a year creating it. I have to say, it's a really deep and gentle, but profound practice. It's similar to what would happen if you could come and see me in my office. It's a really potent and practical way to work healing your own trauma using spiritual principles and the compassion of the larger system. And it's always available. So check that out. I hope that to see you again at future lives. Again, if you benefited from this process, I deeply appreciate donations. If you want to find out about future events I'm doing, follow me, and I think you get notifications of other lives and when I drop audio files. So I look forward to seeing you again. I hope this practice was helpful. And we'll end with my favorite blessing. May we be at peace. May our hearts remain open. May we awaken to the light of our own true nature. May we be healed and a source of healing to all others. Blessings on your path. Until we meet again. You're welcome, Victoria. There we go. Connecting with source. Okay. What's happening here? So how do you stop it? Live. 2.